My name is Middleton. I'm a state senator for Senate District 11. And the reason why I'm running is this is a calling, not a job. Look, from day one, I was in the grassroots movement. I got elected to the Texas House in 2018 by beating an incumbent who was not living up to his conservative promises. A rhino, exactly. Knocked on 6,000 doors to do it. And when I ran for Senate, President Trump said my conservative record was second to none, always been ranked as the top one or two most conservative members of the legislature. And when I ran for Senate, President Trump said my conservative record was second to none. And like President Trump, I give away the salary. I don't take the pension. I don't take the health care. I don't take any of the perks. And the reason why is I'm only here to fight for the conservative values that we believe in. And look, this is a show me, don't tell me business, right? We're tired of politicians telling us what they're going to do. They need to show us what they're going to do. And I can show you the results. Conservative values, record. I have that record that the others do not have, those proven conservative results. I fought the woke left's radical gender ideology. One, I authored the law to stop men from playing women's sports and kick men out of women's private spaces. That went into law today. The Texas Women's Privacy Act. I defeated the atheists and won and authored the law to put prayer back in public school and the 10 Commandments back on the wall of every classroom. Also took on our foreign adversaries and stopped China from buying our land, and cartels were designated as terrorists, tripled border security. Not only that, I'm fighting against Sharia law and Islamification, which is a clear and present danger to our constitutional republic and to Texas. And because of that proven conservative record, that's why I've been endorsed by the conservative groups you have to win a statewide race like Texas Values, Texas Homeschool Coalition, Texas Eagle Forum, Moms for America, Texas Family Project, True Texas Project, Riley Gaines, a majority of our state Republican Executive Committee members, and a majority, so 51 Trump-endorsed state representatives and state senators. And look, I'm a seventh generation Texan. I'm not retreating from D.C. I'm never going to D.C. I was born in Texas. I'll die here. I've always known the fight is here in Texas. That's what our 10th Amendment is about. That's what our states' rights are about. And the reason why it's so important is we don't have another Texas to move to, because Sharia law is undermining our republic. And I'll just be blunt here. Sharia law is organized crime, period. And I want to start a division in the AG's office, standalone task force devoted to rooting out organized crime and cartels. Included in that is Sharia law. And here are some tools that I've got in the AG's office. And these are tools that I fought for as a lawmaker. And now they need to be enforced. It is a second-degree felony in Texas to enforce Sharia law. If there's a district attorney that's not prosecuting for that, they need to be removed from office. That is exactly what I will do. Not only that, we passed a law this session that stops our enemy entities from buying Texas out from underneath us. So the AG has express authority to investigate nonprofits like CARE, like Muslim Brotherhood. We keep adding to the list of terrorist organizations. And what does that do? It allows the AG to bring an action to force them to sell property in Texas. They cannot buy our state out from underneath us, like the Meadows in Collin County, the East Plano Islamic Center. We need to make sure that the meadow stays a meadow, right?
Right.
That's important for our state. But not only that, other tools as well. You know, HB 4211 stopped them from kind of this de facto no-go Islamification, Sharia law only community, because it was basically corporate bylaws where they were enforcing Sharia law. And now we have a very important tool that denies them all public benefit. They can't get sewer, they can't get water, they can't get roads, they can't get electricity. We got to stop this dead in its tracks. We don't need to ask the federal government's permission to defend ourselves. We were under an invasion in Texas. We were under invasion from the border and from the federal government. Exactly, and we have a right to defend ourselves. That's how federalism works. Remember, the power is derived from the people, of course, but then the states created the federal government, not the other way around, and that's what the 10th Amendment is about. But look, we have powerful tools to do this. You know, one of the most important laws that we passed that I helped fight for was the state's criminal trespass and deportation law. That was Senate Bill 4. Unfortunately, there's an injunction on that right now, which I will challenge and win. And it allows the state to do what the federal government was not doing under Joe Biden, charging illegal immigrants with criminal trespass and returning them to their country of origin. And look, if anyone gets in the way, we know where the problem's going to be. It's going to be in those George Soros blue counties. It's going to be those George Soros local elected officials. So what can I do? What will I do as Attorney General about that? It's called the ban on sanctuary cities. Anyone that's in the way of that deportation agenda, anyone that's in the way of that anti-illegal immigration agenda, I can sue for civil penalties. They're subject to criminal penalties. And number 3, I like the best, removal from office.
Awesome.
Zero tolerance for anyone that is in the way. Absolutely.
Right to life.
100% pro-life. Life begins at conception, period, the end. And that went into law today. That was HB 7. That went into effect this very day. That is an incredibly huge pro-life win. Thousands of innocent Texas babies were killed by these pills. But look, remember, furnishing the means to an abortion is a crime. And so any district attorney that is not prosecuting our pro-life laws, they need to be removed from office. And that's exactly what I will do as Attorney General. But not only that, all these things that we're passing, these are largely civil penalties. And they need to be enforced as well, because one thing that the left hates losing is their money, right? I mean, George Soros, right? George Soros is funding a lot of this, which don't get me started on that. Remember I talked about that organized crime division? I do have one particular person in mind to investigate in that division. On day 1 in the AG's office, I want to investigate George Soros for the crimes that I believe he has committed against our great state. But the heartbeat bill has to be enforced. Our ban on abortion that we passed in 2021 has to be enforced. And I will use every resource and tool in the AG's office to protect innocent life. We got to use every resource and tool available to back up President Trump in his border security and deportation agenda. We have a great friend in Washington, D.C. right now, but it goes beyond that as well. Think about election integrity. They stole the election from President Trump in 2020. It was stolen from him. And that's why enforcing our election integrity laws are so important, because it allows us to win those 5 Republican seats, continue to elect the troops essentially that President Trump needs in order to pass his agenda in Washington, D.C. So what will I do about that? Well, I fought for a law that restored the Attorney General's power to prosecute election-related crimes. Remember, that was taken away from Ken Paxton at the end of 2021. It was a terrible decision by the Court of Criminal Appeals, but I asked Governor Abbott to add that to the special session call. He did. We passed it, but now we need to take step 2, which is a standalone task force division devoted to investigating and prosecuting election-related crimes, because that one illegal vote cancels out your legal vote.